Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon and today we'll be talking about jump scares. Now, jump scares are kind of a lost art form in modern horror. They're overused, they're clunky, and they're predictable. Nowadays, they're kind of looked at as the lowest form of horror, but I think that's only because they're used wrong. It's like any other sort of trope or cliche. The more it's used, the less you like it. Especially if it's done the exact same way every time. And doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of a jump scare? Isn't it supposed to be surprising? Through the manipulation of crazy sound effects and weird visuals, you jump, but you're not really scared or surprised. You're just kind of like, ugh, there it is. But jump scares can actually be very well done and a great part of a good horror movie. So I want to talk about some good examples and walk through how to do a good jump scare. And step one is the anticipation. You need to be waiting for it, but also not know when it's going to happen. So you can't have just a really basic, boring build-up. You know when it's coming and it's not scary anymore. But at the same time, it can't just be random. It can't come out of nowhere. It has to have some sort of build-up to it. A great example is the movie Halloween. It does both of these, actually. The first and bad example is the time when they're in the car and Michael Myers climbs over the car. It comes and goes so quick without any sort of build-up or anticipation. You're just not really surprised, shocked, horrified, or anything. He's just kind of there and then he's not. It's just boring. But the second and good example is when Mike Myers is just simply in the background. This whole movie, you're building anticipation for this murderer to show up in this town and start killing people. He doesn't jump out in your face. He's just in the background standing and watching. But that's just as creepy and sometimes even more effective. Which takes me to point two, variety in jump scares. Jump scares don't always have to be in the foreground. They can be in the background, they can be medium, they can be wherever they want to be. And the more variety you get in jump scares, the better they are because the key element is surprise. Once again, I've got two examples, one in the background and one in the foreground. For the background jump scare, I'm going a little bit obscure here, so just go along with me. YouTuber Nathan Barnett has a series going on called Dad. He even has a second channel for it. And it has to do with some weird, obscure horror genre that I don't really know exactly what it is, but it's fascinating to watch. And the best example of this is in a specific video. He's talking for minutes about something completely unrelated when suddenly the dad figure appears in the background. At this point, we've been conditioned to fear this character, and the eerie sounds help a lot. It's not loud, it's not obnoxious, it's in the background, but it is still extremely chilling. But no, not all good jump scares are just the ones in the background. We've got plenty that are right in your face. One of my favorite examples is in Insidious. We have this scene with this woman telling a story about this demon when suddenly the demon appears behind the man she's talking to. It's not loud, it's not obnoxious, but it's right there in the middle of the screen and it's haunting. And the best part is that you're not expecting it to happen. There's no cheesy violins telling you that something's about to happen. It's just you hear a creak, you turn, you look, it's there. Not only is that more realistic to how a jump scare would happen in real life, but it's way more unpredictable and so much scarier for it. The scene used the story that she was telling to build the anticipation, not some cheesy sound effects or visuals. And this scene is also a great connection into point three. The best way to make horror actually horrifying is to relate to the audience. Don't just make it scary for the characters, make it scary for the audience too. But unfortunately, that idea has led to the biggest trope of them all, making jump scares at the audience. Jump scares don't have to be at the audience, they don't have to be at anything. But the jump scares work best when they're toward the character. We have to feel helpless for the character. And side note, that actually includes having a connection with the character, which most horror movies ignore completely, making them bland, boring, and forgettable, and you're just waiting for them to die. But the single greatest way to raise suspense is to know something as the audience that the character doesn't know. And in that Insidious clip that I was just talking about, part of what makes it so great is that we know that that demon's there, but he doesn't. So it is a jump scare toward the character for the audience. He's unaware of it, but we're aware of it and we're terrified for him. The demon isn't right behind us, but we're terrified for him because it could happen to us. If he's completely unaware of a demon right behind his shoulder, then we could be too. But hopefully not. And then last but definitely not least is step four. Subverting your expectations. Unfortunately, this is another trope that gets overused time and time again. You've got the typical cat fake out, you've got the standard best friend fake out, and you've got the nothing at all fake out. They're all boring, overdone, lazy, and overused. Not to mention accompanied by the standard violins and loud noises. The reason that those don't work anymore is because it's not subverting your expectations anymore. It's so predictable at this point that you're expecting it to happen. So in order to do this correctly, you have to come up with something unique and different that will actually surprise people. And a great example of this is in The Conjuring. The scene is setting up for you to fear what is ever in the basement, and then the jump scare comes from behind the girl as she looks down the basement stairs. And this jump scare is pretty much just perfect. It follows all the steps. It is surprising, unique, and creative. It happens in the mid-ground. It is toward the character, but is frightening to the audience. And it is not accompanied by any cheesy, loud sound effects or anything like that. This jump scare is awesome. So there it is. That is how you correctly do a jump scare. So jump scares can still be a part of every good horror film if they want to be. But just like every other part of your movie, it should be unique, creative, and original. Otherwise, we've seen it before, we're tired, we're bored by it, it's not good anymore. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked it. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you did. I'm Simon from SimonsRants, and that was my rant for today. Happy October.